welcome back to Charting from Blank. It's Pat here, and we're going to be taking a look at XRP today. Thank you to one of the guys on Twitter for recommendation for this week's episode. If you haven't watched one of these before, then quickly summarize what we do. Basically breaking down a chart, usually from the higher time frame down to the lower time frame, taking a look at different outlooks and different styles of technical analysis on a completely blank sheet to give us this outlook and a potential idea for trades, and then even a spot buy position that we could be looking at taking over the course of the next month or so. So we're going to be taking a look at XRP, a coin that has been fairly stable for several months now. We can see on the fourth month now, pretty much since March, it's basically done nothing. It's just gone sideways. We can see it, intermittently in these monthlies we have had a move down and also a move higher, but overall we've basically been at the same price since March, which is pretty wild when you look at the monthly. First off the bat, we can see that price is holding this prior monthly all-time high area all the way back from 2018, not including the 2020. The price didn't even make a new high back in 2021, so we're looking at the high from back in January 2018, that monthly high, and then clearly some support towards that some resistance towards that $3 area. We can see that it also wicked back in 2018 towards that $3 area, and price reacted poorly from there. So not a bad place for XRP here. We can see that yes, it is sort of consolidating on support. We do have some nice consolidation around here, but definitely need to get into the lower time frame to identify whether there is potential trade around this area. Going on to the weekly, bit of a gap underneath this prior all-time high area. Obviously when we go onto the weekly, the high back from 2018 changes a little bit. The monthly close was a lot lower than the weekly close, but still, big resistance towards $3, and then definitely some support back down towards a 155. I think, without looking at the volume profile, there's a good chance that this is a very low volume area gap. It's probably a lot of missing volume here, and we can see that low volume move here, low volume wick there, low volume move here, and a low volume wick there. Not necessarily low volume wick, but I'm talking about the idea that price trades through this area very easily. So we can tell that there's probably a lack of volume. So what I mean by that is that if XRP was to lose $2 again, you would probably see it fall back towards this April low and trading back towards that 155 region. So keep an eye on something like that for XRP. We are holding on to a really nice support here, but a break back under $2 would likely mean new lows under March, back down towards 155, and maybe even as low as $1 when we look at the weekly. There's pretty much a level around this $1 region. It's a bit of a rough area, but sort of just under $1 we've got that next support region, and if XRP doesn't hold 155, then yes, it would take a trip all the way back down to $1, down to 0.9. So on the weekly time frame, a very important place for XRP to continue to hold basically this $2 area, this 199 region is really important for XRP to hold here. So if it doesn't hold this 199 region, this $2 region, then we're definitely looking at a potential top for XRP being in, and a bleed under $2, over the rest of the year towards the end of summer could be possible, right? If we do get this bleed out over summer, if we don't get this breakout from XRP over the next couple of weeks, then we assume that it's going to bleed out. Probably look at rebuying back towards 155 if given that opportunity. Maybe it flags sort of over summer into 155, and then we rebuy, looking at selling towards Q4 at the end of the year. I think for a spot buy as of right now, looking at the weekly, that seems like the best scenario, but of course it's really going to depend on majors. It's going to depend on the macro outlook of the market and everything going on in the world right now. So taking a look at the daily, we're going to try and identify a bit of an intraday outlook. I think, for spot buys, I'm pretty happy in the idea that anything towards 1.6, maybe into 1.4, looks like a really good place to be a buyer for XRP. As long as we sweep under here, I think this is a really nice place to buy XRP. And like I said, maybe it continues to flag out for the summer. If we don't get a breakout from BTC within the next week or so, that seems like the best case scenario. For a long, I like the look of sweeping under these lows. We have a nice set of equal lows here, some buy side liquidity. or sell side liquidity, whatever way you want to look at it. So we're basically going to have some stops under these lows. So if our XRP goes for a sweep under these lows, under $2 and locks in a reclaim, I think that seems like the best place for a position right now. Personally, I cannot justify being a buyer with lows that are built like this on altcoins. Bitcoin, sometimes my bias shifts depending on how lows are stacked, but on altcoins, I definitely would like to see a sweep of lows like this. So look for a sweep under 199 and a reclaim for a long from there, probably targeting these highs up here. And then if we can flip above 2.6, probably a good chance it's going to go to all-time high. Although this scenario is in the back of my head, I don't think this is entirely possible right now. So to wrap up this episode, I'm pretty happy with the plan identified. Price action's really clean here, and despite the slow market, I think XRP could be a good buy very soon. Under $2, we look at buying on the sweep and the reclaim back above there. If it fails to hold $2, then I'm definitely looking at being a buyer much lower towards 1.6 and then fail to hold that there. Then I would assume that it's just going to full retrace this whole move back from November last year. But overall, look at buying spot towards the end of summer on something like this, big bull flag that plays out, and then we can rally into Q4, and then that's your best scenario. So that's option 1, buying spot into 1.6. Option 2, wait for a sweep of these lows, look for a reclaim and target 2.6 plus. That's everything worth mentioning for this week's Chatting from Blank episode. Going to keep it really short and simple this week. When price action's this clean, there's not too much to comment on. A coin that has little volatility, but I think has potential in the future. Make sure you check out these socials in the description, and I will see you guys next week for episode 44.